Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Y Podcast.
Hello.
Today, we are discussing why do we want the things that we want? Yeah, in general, every single desire and want that we have in our life, why do we have them? You know, is it controlled by us?
We're gonna be listing them in the list.
Yeah, we're going to go over every single thing we want in.
Every single desire that anyone has ever had,
Yeah,
we're gonna put
everything
them in
that
the list.
I've ever wanted since I was born. So starting with
Putting them.
food and milk. No, let's not
No.
list everything. So yeah. What's your thoughts? Your initial thoughts?
Initial
That's
thoughts, like always, like I always say, it's very, very varied and dependent on your situation.
yeah,
I think, I mean, just first thing that comes to my mind is obviously your starting point. So, if you grow up in a poor family, the chances are you want to go and become rich. If you grow up in a rich family, the chances are you don't really know what you want. Maybe like
true.
because you don't really understand like the
You
concept
want
of
like
money.
more
Maybe you just want to
excitement or something?
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would probably want to do stuff that makes you feel something. And that has had varied
So
consequences and
would you
effects. But
say
yeah,
once like because I think
but
people
I
can
think
think that you
even
want it's like free. You control what you want, and you say you want certain aspirations or you want to be a certain thing because of like that's who I am, that's what I want. But I think that, like you said, stems from how you've been like brought up and your environment.
yeah, I think even if you grow up rich or poor, uh, it's very dependent on how your parents teach you
Yeah,
like as you grow up. So you could still grow up rich, but not be like a snob or not
yeah.
be like
Because I guess the
like
things that
you
you
don't
want
understand money.
are important to you. Like you want things that are important to you. So it depends on what you've been
Yeah,
taught is important. If you've been taught that money is the most important thing and that's how like you should be measured on success, you're gonna want more money, aren't you? Because then you get that
yeah, and then if you
inner feeling of security, and monkey brain says, "Yes, I'm accepted into
yeah,
society."
but then if you go again, I'm just to polarize it. If you let's say you grow up rich and your parents
Mm.
teach you that money just doesn't come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
then you'll most likely grow up with a lot of the same wants and needs as like everyone else.
Mm.
Because you'll still have the same thought of like, okay, I need to secure my own future. I need to have like a stable income. I need to have all of this and this and this and this
That's
to
true.
live like a stable life. So I think number one factor is parents.
Yeah.
Either way.
Just like nurture, uh,
Yeah.
versus nature. Um. So I've got here the evolutionary roots of wanting things. So if we go back to monkey brainers when we were fully just subconscious beings where we weren't really aware, everything we
Amen.
wanted kind of came from the need for food, shelter,
Needs, right?
reproduction. Yeah, like needs to
Basic necessities.
animalistic needs. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that drove what we want. But I feel like that kind of shapes a lot of our wants now as well, just in different ways, like acceptance into kind of societal groups. Like you want to be accepted, and that comes down to the evolutionary need to be accepted to reproduce and be part of a tribe kind of thing. So if you put it into a modern day example,
Yeah,
it's
that
like
yeah.
wanting, I don't know, likes on social media. You want that because it's that societal
It's
acceptance
technically a
almost.
proof of you being accepted into a
Yeah, it's that
group.
like validation.
Yeah, because of how far we've developed, I think that kind of attention has become sort of our modern day necessity
Yeah.
in the same way we had necessities back in the day. It's just obviously it's shifted because we don't typically
Mm.
most of us don't have the need for like basic stuff like food,
Yeah.
shelter,
That's
water, and
all
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
taken care of. And it's
You kind of have that from birth, so you don't really.
yeah.
I mean,
We don't
not everyone,
desire
but
it as much because it's just there anyway. Like you don't have to
yeah, it's been there since day one, and
desire it.
you don't really you don't really experience not having that. And I mean,
Yeah.
unless you grow up in some other countries that you do, but that's a different problem.
Have
So
you
yeah, I think
heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
yeah,
So yeah,
I
like
reference it often.
if we go from the basic needs is like we just mentioned, the animalistic kind of food, safety, that kind of stuff.
It's what you need to survive.
Why do you think we want the things at the top of that pyramid, which are the things around, like fulfilling your potential, or like the more ambitious kind of, fulfilling my purpose here, and more those kind of wants that might not be necessarily kind of survival, and
Uh,
they're a bit more conscious.
I mean, I don't know how scientifically true it is, but I believe it's just because of how humans fundamentally work and how they
Yeah,
behave. I don't think there's ever a point where you as a human being will not strive for like
yeah,
something in your life that you don't have.
yeah. I think we're
Like
wired
so, it just
to want more, and
yeah, and it's just it depends where you are in the pyramid for what that one
mm,
is. But even if you're low down, you're gonna want something a step above, and even if you're higher up, sorry, you're gonna want something even higher
there's
up.
always
Like
more. Like
that, yeah,
it's like
that
that whole
is not
thing.
gonna
There's
change.
always a nicer car. There's always a nicer house. Like as far
There's
as you
always a
go, there's
bigger
always more.
house,
Yeah,
always a new experience, always something right that you can strive for. So I don't think there's anything unnatural about the Maslow's
yeah.
like behavior pyramid, which is also why
Why
it's
it's a
so
thing.
fucking relevant.
Yeah,
And I think it goes for everyone, no matter where you are. You will always want something that you don't have or
yeah.
like strive for something.
Do you think so? When kind of choosing what, like, there's always a decision of what we want. Because if you want one thing, it means you don't want something else. Like you have to kind of
Yeah.
sacrifice one thing. But why do you think we are pushed in that direction? Because I think I think that's a lot of how you've been wired growing up and that kind of part. But that's only part of it. I think there is a part of it that's not all just down to how what we've learned and how we are. I think there is an element of it's just like we're meant to want certain things, like we're just naturally pushed in a direction, and it's almost like consciousness wants something. It wants to take the form through you. Like I think I listened to something recently. It's like it was about kind of being creative and
Mm.
because obviously I'm creative. I like to write things and come up with stuff. And when it comes to that, it's not actually you creating it. It's allowing creativity to come through you. And you just kind of you've probably experienced it when you're trying to come up with an idea. The less you kind of force it and try and want it, the ideas just come to you. And
Oh
you just
yeah, yeah. I know what you
you
mean.
kind of in flow state.
Usually
You
the
could
best
just be
ideas. Yeah.
writing and just something will just come to you. And I think that when I look at it that way, I'm like that's something almost. It's not like animalistic. It's not one of the. It's not on that level of a want. It feels like it's just meant to happen. Like something's being created through me,
Yeah,
and it's
I know what you're
almost like yeah,
say.
consciousness. What it's like the universe wants this to be created, and I'm the way it's going to be created. And I think that can come down to so many decisions that people make. Like it's just meant to like the way the universe is going. You're meant to kind of want to do this to shape that part of reality going forward. And yeah,
I don't, but I mean, again, I can't say that I know because I don't think anyone knows. But I don't
yeah,
think that gets decided from day one. I don't think
uh,
the day one that you come into the universe, or less in let's say the day you're born, right? I don't think
oh
it's
okay,
already been decided,
yeah, no,
like
I get what you
what
mean.
exactly you want. I think it all depends on your upbringing, not just
Yeah,
parents, but environment, upbringing, what you end up having like an interest in, which could be many different reasons for why you have interest in
yeah,
something compared to others. For me, for example, I mean, I've got my fucked up feet, but I didn't have that when I was young or as a kid. It wasn't as prevalent. But the reason I didn't get it into sports is because our football coach only was, even at like the young age of like fucking 8, the only thing he cared about was a winning match.
Yeah.
So he only used the best of the best, and so only those got to play. And so my interest in like sports naturally
Yeah.
declined very
Your
quickly.
wants kind of shaped by what happened.
Yeah, so that specific case is because that coach didn't let everyone play
Yeah.
like to play. He only picked like certain ones. And so for me, I was like, okay, I don't really find an interest in sport because I don't even get to play. Like, there's no point. So
Yeah,
that
that's true.
there already has been shaped so many different like wants
Yeah.
and needs for my life. As in, like, I don't care about the sports scene. So naturally, you find interest in something else, and eventually, to me, that just became gaming because that was something I could do of my own accord, of my
Yeah,
own
you
will, whenever I wanted.
didn't need your feet for that.
Yeah, and which is also why it kept going. Eventually, when my started getting fucked up, I was like, okay, I literally
Yeah.
can't physically do all these kind of sports, so I just ended up switching to gaming
Yeah.
more and more and more.
No, that makes sense.
So that's kind of like that's just one example of how easily a life can be
Decided,
changed for
yeah.
what you need or want
It's
by just
yeah.
one simple little thing.
It's like the butterfly
So
effect, isn't it?
yeah, I think it's more based on your situation, as in like genetically, if you have certain problems or not, kind of very
Yeah.
much affect what you end up doing.
No, that's
Your
true.
upbringing, your parents are a very big
Yeah.
influence. Your the area you grow up in, the fucking country you grow up in, like who you go to school with, who you make friends with.
So how much control
why I
do you
think-
think we as individuals actually have over our wants? Do you think we? I don't think we have. I think like on terms of kind of ego and our minds, like the way we perceive the world, on like this level of kind of individuality, I don't think we have like any, if not maybe a little bit, like. But I think as on a level of just a being, like a physical brain body, I don't think we have much choice over what we want. I think what we want in terms of, so we've got the level of like when we go to the pyramid, obviously the needs is stuff we want. That's already decided, kind of thing. And then like we're saying about nurture and bringing up, those wants are almost kind of already decided for you as well, because that's just the direction you're going. And then I think, say if when you feel like you want something, I going back to what I was talking about earlier, I just don't think that's on a level of kind of our mind and our like ego. I think that's just bigger than us. Like it's just the natural way of time unfolding and the universe doing its thing. Because I think we're just part of something bigger and we're just going in a certain direction. So when we want something, it's just because we had to want that. Otherwise, it won't happen. You know what I mean?
I think obviously you don't have 100% control over what you want, and you don't have 0% control because that would be a ridiculous fucking claim. But I think you have significantly more control over what you like, what direction you want to go in life than what you even realize yourself.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I think there are so many things happening in your life that you don't even consciously think about, but is what you actually want, which is what makes you go towards that direction to begin with.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think being
like,
conscious about it is when you start realizing what you actually want. Kind of when you feel drawn to something rather than force.
Yeah, but I think that's been always been a part of you, and it's been like how you are to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's a single thing that you end up thinking about that you want that you didn't want like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But you just weren't aware of it at the time that like
That's
that
true.
specific thing is what you wanted.
Yeah.
But I mean, because your motivation internally will be affected by whatever you want externally as well.
Yeah, no. Everything's kind of, you're always going in a direction, like a desired direction.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think I don't think you have 100% control over it because, like I said, if my upbringing was different, who knows? Maybe I could have been huge into something else. Not
Yeah, exactly.
maybe
I think
sport,
that's
maybe
the
something
same
else.
with like everyone, isn't it?
But even with the circumstances that I had, unless I actually enjoyed playing games or unless I actually enjoyed doing all of these things, I would have easily pivoted into something else if it wasn't for the fact that I had like an actual like, oh, I actually enjoy this. Like this is
Yeah,
actually
I
really
think
fun, and
yeah,
I
it
want
kind
to
of
keep
all
doing
stems
it.
like down to the feeling of what you get from it, and just like the reinforcement model, like
I think it's more acceptance of your situation more
Yeah.
than anything, because I very quickly accepted that okay, I'm not going to be a top athlete.
Yeah,
Like it's just
true.
not going to happen. So I just accepted that that's not going to happen very,
And
very quickly. It wasn't a problem to
enjoyed
me.
something else, yeah.
Yeah, then I found something else which I enjoyed arguably more than doing the sport. I mean, again, the fact that I didn't enjoy it is probably because I didn't get to
Yeah,
play. Like I
to
didn't get to
enjoy
actually
stuff,
enjoy it.
right? Most of the time, you need to be somewhat decent at it. Otherwise,
Yeah, and you need to
just
actually be
rubbish.
able to allow to be like to allow to play, which
Yeah,
I never was. And
no,
I mean,
that's true.
also on top of that, uh, according to all the stories I've heard from my parents, I've always been like very, very calm and very like I like just relaxing, which has come genetically at some form, I'm guessing. So I think that also pushed me into the direction of not being like too huge into sports.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't know how much control. Obviously, at the early stages, you don't really have control over what you want because you're not
You're not
conscious enough.
yeah,
Like you're not
just
developed enough. But I think later in life, even if you had a certain upbringing and like certain environment and system around you, unless you have either grown to learn it or just you enjoyed it to begin with, I think you can easily, as an adult, pivot into doing something else if you just
yeah.
constantly
I
decide
think
that I don't like this.
yeah, and I think even those decisions, I think, say if you do want to pivot into something else, I think they are always kind of decided for you as well in terms of like it's hard to say because I don't think it's something we really know. It's never we don't know it, but I think it all comes down to a feeling. Because if you feel more strongly towards, say, like more enjoyment and feeling more love towards something else, you're gonna want that more than wanting something you don't like, which is just pretty obvious.
Oh, are you kind of saying that it's predetermined, no
Yeah,
matter where
and
you
I
kind
think
of end up?
those feelings, you don't choose those feelings, do you? If you love something, the feeling just appears. It's hard to you can't force yourself to kind of love or enjoy. You know what I mean? Like those feelings they just happen, and it's an indication for you to say, "Oh, I do like this." So in terms of that, I'm like, maybe it's not fully your choice because you choose kind of what to try almost, and then the want to carry on and the want to go in a certain direction comes from how you feel about something and your situation. But then we can't really explain
Okay,
the
yeah,
feeling.
yeah. No, yeah, I see what you mean. But the only thing is, don't think, I don't think like your feelings are predetermined necessarily.
Yeah,
I think
not
your feelings is,
predetermined. Yeah,
I think it's just a result of, again, your upbringing.
yeah,
You're gonna naturally like something more than others, more than something else, based on what your parents
yeah. That's true.
kind of made you
Yeah,
enjoy.
it kind of stems from beliefs and it's kind of which are all, like subconscious
Which is
anyway.
why you have so many different interests for
Yeah,
people. Like that's why so many people have so many different interests, because
yeah. I
you
think
get you completely get shaped by whatever happens when you grow up.
exactly. And then yeah, what gets
But I think,
reinforced and what doesn't.
yeah, and I think where it really starts to divert is just how good your parents have been at like preparing you for the world, or how playing whatever you enjoyed when you grow up.
Yeah, yeah. I think it all kind of
If they teach you that, I don't know, let's take some like an instrument. If your parents taught you an instrument when you grew up, like the piano, but they fucking beat you to death every time you play
Yeah.
it to try and get you better.
You're not gonna
When
want
you
to
grow
carry
up,
on.
you're gonna hate the piano.
Exactly.
You're gonna fucking despise it.
Mm.
If they teach you in like a nice way or like a pleasant manner, and they just kind of like, yeah, you can just enjoy the piano, kind of have fun with it, just fiddle around, just do your own thing on it. You're gonna grow up not having a hatred towards it, and most likely you're gonna end up keep playing it and
But then,
maybe even make like a career out of it.
could there be a situation where, in that same example, maybe if you've learned something out of fear, and you've developed a belief of you can't fuck up unless, like, otherwise you're gonna get beat, and it develops a belief of not wanting to fuck up. Would that make you want to succeed more in some individuals, and then you want something out of fear because you don't want to mess up, if you know what I mean?
I don't think it's uh I don't think it's you wanting to do the thing.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's
you.
more not
I
wanting
think
it.
it's Yeah, I think it's you not wanting the consequences or
Yeah.
repercussions
But then
of not doing that thing.
are they like mutually exclusive? Like not wanting. If you don't want one thing, do you want the other thing, or can you not want something and then also not want the other thing? If that makes sense.
I don't. I think it's.
Like, is it like a on and off switch almost? Like if one side's up, one side's
Uh,
down.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'd have to see examples of it, but I don't think
Mm.
a human is naturally capable of wanting, like in the grand scheme of things, wanting more than like one main thing, as in
Yeah,
like their
yeah,
main goal. I don't think you're programmed to want more than just one thing to focus
yeah.
on. There's so many things that happen in life that you have to focus on. So I
And
don't
I
think.
think
I think if you.
if we break down once to like a psychological, like scientific level, it's just kind of a dopamine hit to motivate you to go do a certain thing that moves you in
Yes.
the direction of that desire.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
So, like,
The issue is want doesn't necessarily result in needs or what you end up focusing on in life, depending on where you want to. Like you can want to become someone in like or like you can want an end result
yeah,
that doesn't line up with your want in life. So you end up doing a lot of other things that aren't necessarily what you want, but kind of what more you need to
yeah,
get to
true.
that point.
Yeah,
So
no, that
you
makes
can
sense.
easily have you can have an end goal of
Yeah, I guess it
I don't
depends
fucking know family
how you're
and
motivated.
then stability, and then your actual one of like I want to have this job or like do this or this doesn't align with that like end goal. So you'll push that one to the side and then kind of want something else.
That aligns with
But I still think that
the end goal.
yeah, but I think and that decision is dependent on your upbringing. As in, are
Yeah.
you able to make the decision of okay, I'm going to put this to the side and focus on what I need to do to get to where I want in the end goal, and then maybe I can do at some point.
No, that's
Or
true.
you're just going to go for what you want.
I've got some philosophical takes here. One from Plato, which says
The man himself.
desire as a pursuit of what we lack. So it's like we're in a constant.
Yes.
We're always looking
Yeah.
for things we
Yeah,
lack.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
which is kind of what we touched on
wants are
too as well.
always kind of what we don't have. It's a weird way to think about it because it doesn't seem very exciting. It just means that we're always lacking, and I feel like
No, not necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're always lacking. It's just how your brain is wired
yeah,
to work for humans to like function to survive, because you have to constantly adapt.
yeah,
It's more based on. I mean, in today's society, it can easily be seen as something kind of trivial. But if you go back to the caveman brain kind of era, the thing you were lacking was like
survival,
food,
food, yeah,
survival, shelter.
Yeah.
So you not having that doesn't mean that it's like trivial or you don't whatever, right? It just means that you're programmed to want it because you're programmed to keep self-preservation and like evolve.
No,
So
that's
it's
true.
just the only thing he's describing is that you are fundamentally programmed as a human to want what you don't currently have for like survival reasons.
Yeah.
The only problem is that today we don't have those survival
Yeah, and
problems
it's kind of
anymore.
stemmed
So
to a societal thing.
yeah, and depending on where you are in your life and the situation, I can very easily go into like weird territory or like dangerous or extreme territories.
Hmm. The other one I've got is from Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer. Desire as suffering. When we get what we want, we move on to the next. So
Yeah, that's true.
Could it be seen as suffering? I think that's interesting. I guess it can be. Like, but it depends how you live your life. If you're always looking for the next thing, but if you're kind of a bit more grateful for what you have already, I guess desire isn't suffering. It's just the want to experience more and expand your horizons almost. I think that's how I look at desire, and the reason I want to do stuff that I haven't done before is because I just want to I just want to experience more stuff because it's just play. It's just fun.
Exactly.
It's just like it's not that.
It depends. It depends really on your outlook, and I think if your outlook is desire is suffering, that is a very tragic way to live your life, and I am not subscribed to that thought at all.
Mr. Schopenhauer's depressed man.
I mean, he brings up an interesting point that you can like ponder on and be aware of, so you don't end up in that trap of like constantly desiring things and never enjoying them. But I don't think you can sum up desire to just be suffering.
Yeah,
that's like.
No, I don't know. Again, it's all subjective. It's all perception.
That's a very close-minded way of thinking of desire, in my opinion.
But I think, suffering is a very heavy word. It implies, kind of like
there's no positive version of suffering. Like suffering is only negative. There can't be a positive outcome from you like
exactly
suffering
I don't think,
in and of itself.
Yeah, desire is completely it's not negative. If we didn't desire, we wouldn't be here.
It can be. It can be both. 100%. Like desire can be negative and positive, but saying desire is suffering is like okay, but you're just twisting the meaning.
I think
to
it is
fulfill your own.
It was subjective and
personal. Yeah.
That's well, that comes out. I guess that's what philosophy is. It's a lot of
philosophers have to be taken with a grain of salt. You can't just believe everything they say.
So, I want. Do you think then our wants are they ours? Do we own our wants, or are they just are they really ours? Because what we've kind of discussed is that the majority of the time, most of the reasons we want things come from how we've grown up, how we've learned, what we feel about certain situations, which stems back to beliefs that we've learned. Like, is it really? Is what we want? Is it ours? Did we actually?
I think.
Decide that.
I think yes. I think yes, because you can have a certain upbringing where you, let's say your parents have like an interest in something. They tried their best to teach you to learn and like the exact same that you like, the thing that they like, but you can still grow up to not want that or not like the same things that they like, but maybe the opposite or something else.
But then what would be the reason for wanting the opposite? Do you not think that desire comes from still what they've learnt and just maybe a feeling and a belief towards what they've learnt? Like maybe if their parents tried to push them that way, like we discussed about the piano, and then they didn't want it, obviously they want something else, but does that still come down to something that isn't actually theirs? Like it wasn't them?
Yeah, because I mean, all your needs, wants, or desires have to come from some place. And I don't think you can I don't think you can force someone to want something that they don't enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to manipulate a human to the point where it's like,
They
unless
actually
they
want it.
actually have
Like,
like a want for it or enjoy it, I don't think you can force someone to want it.
yeah.
You can force someone to do it, absolutely. I mean, that's easy.
Unless
But I
they,
don't think you
yeah,
could
unless they
force
see
someone
like
to
a
want it.
need for it, maybe to the point where they want it. But
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's a need. That's not a
yeah,
want. I mean, obviously, you could force someone to need something.
I think
Again, that's
needs
also
and
easy.
wants are almost like if you need something so much though, I think you do want it as well in some like a lot of scenarios.
Well, yeah, in a lot of scenarios, yeah, but it's not 100%. It's not a 1-to-1, so it's not
Yeah.
like they're not interchangeable. You can't. I mean, you can. Yeah, you can need something but not want it,
Hmm.
and you can obviously want something but not need it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So yeah, but it's a difficult question though, because whether or not it's like completely up to you or not,
I think it's unknowable. I don't think.
I think it comes down to balance again. I think
Yeah.
it's
And I think, but then I'm thinking as well, if it is unknowable and it's something that we can't really know, then does that answer the question? Because does that mean that it comes from some other place that's unknowable? So can it be ours? But then it's like, who are we? It stems to that. Like, what does ours mean? You know, what I'm like,
I think it's a mix of a huge bag of like different reasons.
yeah, yeah. There's
But
no
yeah, I think
definite answer is at all.
because the only way to figure that out would be to have someone grow up completely on their own. But even that in and of itself is gonna make you want and need something that's been influenced by the fact that you've grown up on your own.
Yeah, everything. We are part of uh,
So
these
I don't.
dimensions. Like we are not kind of above these dimensions. Everything that happens
No.
is caused by something else.
Yeah. So I think the the boring answer is that
There
it's
isn't.
a mix of
Yeah.
everything that happens, and you can't really answer the question properly because it's not possible to
Yeah.
define it in just one like category.
No, 100%.
I
Yeah.
think like again, I think the only thing to say is that I don't think there's I don't think you can want something unless you enjoy it
Yeah.
to some extent.
Enjoyment and if it just feels natural as well. Like
Yeah.
if it feels like it just flows. Because when it comes to say writing or coming up with ideas, like I'm sure when you're editing, you've been in the state of it's just happening. Like you're not actually thinking about it. It's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's just happening,
You
and
can't just go
but
through.
you want that to happen. Like you want to edit,
Yeah.
you obviously, and it's just happening. And I think that kind of state as well is, I think that's desire. I think that's when you desire something without kind of almost thinking about it. So like you say when you're editing, you wanted to put a clip in a certain place, but you didn't know why you wanted to put it there, and it works, and you got your kind of end goal. I think that kind of that situation I think can also shape a lot of our wants and desires when it's
I
just
think
almost natural and it just comes to us.
I think those moments where you wish something into existence is simply because you are focusing more on the small details than you were when you weren't waiting for that specific thing.
Yeah.
I think that the option would always be there, but if you didn't think about wanting to put that clip in there,
Hmm.
you
It
wouldn't
kind
have
of
tried to look for it.
comes down to where you put your awareness and what you focus on. It's like that. We might have discussed it before, but when you say if I tell you to look at everything that's red in your room now, you
Yeah.
like find 5 red things, and then I ask you after like, tell me all the blue things, you'd be like, I don't know, because your
Yeah, I don't
focus
know.
was around the red. And I think that goes
Exactly.
the same way. If you're
Yeah,
focusing on a certain
that was
thing, you
exactly.
express it more, and it happens around you, and you think that's all that exists. And I think
That was exactly my point.
yeah, and I think in terms of that happens with like positive and negative things in the grand scheme of things. If you
Oh,
you focus
100%.
on all the shit things, all you see is bad things, and all that happens, and then that can kind of link to what you want as well. Because if all you see is
Yeah,
the red,
100%.
you're gonna want more red.
Yeah, it's like whatever you're hyper focused on wanting, you're gonna naturally end up finding a place for it. Because you're so hyper focused on making it work that at some point you're gonna come across a situation where it does work, and you're gonna be like, "Oh shit, there you go."
Yeah, exactly. And what do
But
you
it's
think
not like
about
it's not like you're.
when it comes to like desires and wants? You've got short term and long term desires and
Oh,
wants.
100%.
I think sometimes though, like if you want something in the long term, a short term want can contradict it,
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
then the short term can overrule like the long term. I don't know how that works. I think that kind of comes down to what you want more in the moment, isn't it?
That also comes to your ability to control your impulsiveness, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I'm thinking
If you're
like,
an
say if you
extremely
want to
impulsive,
go get fit and healthy, but then in the
yeah,
moment you want a can of Coke, like some people I know, but you want to lose weight in the long term. It's like,
and the problem there is, uh, especially because you only have one life, it's so
yeah,
easy to be like, okay, but I only have one life. It's like, yeah, I want that long-term goal, which I can achieve, like, whenever in the future. But as of this moment, right now, I want this Coke,
yeah, and I think that
like
comes
kind
down
of
to
Coke.
dopamine as well, and the way
Oh
dopamine
yeah,
is released. Because we are still physical things that are driven by chemicals as well, and when
and you
there's a
won't even
short
remember
term
that. I think
reward, it's like we're way more driven to get short term because it's how we're wired.
you,
We want to get things
you
quicker.
get the reward immediately.
Yeah, we don't have to wait, and we don't like waiting.
But I think short-term wants are very detrimental to your long-term
Yeah,
wants,
100%. I think they're
especially
very artificial and manufactured a lot of the time, and they don't actually feel fulfilling. But when you achieve a long term desire, it feels better. Like you've earned it. You've sacrificed something for it.
and the problem is also your short-term wants. The feeling you get when you get that one is over the second you've kind of done it. That you won't remember it in 2 days or like 1 day or 1 hour. You
Yeah,
won't even remember the feeling you had.
exactly.
But the long-term one is most likely something so significant to your life that you're going to reap the benefits of that for possibly the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think the what is it? Delayed like gratification. I think is huge because
Yeah,
the feeling you get, say after you go for a run or something, it feels like you're sacrificing the feeling while you're running. Like it feels rubbish because you're tired and you're hurting.
yeah,
But
you're
then at the
exhausted,
end
you're
of it,
panting.
you're like, damn, I feel good.
And now when you
Whereas,
when you like when you get home, you calm down, you like take a shower or whatever, and then you
yeah,
start relaxing after having like a really intense workout. That feeling is like, wow,
yeah,
I did good there. I did good. And then as you keep going, you notice that it affects other parts of your life, which then amplifies that like feeling of gratitude of like, oh shit, wait, I've just improved so many other things in my life that I didn't even realize at the time, compared to the short-term gratitude or short-term,
yeah,
I
just like
guess
a
short-term
chocolate bar or
gratitude as
something.
well. Yeah, you're like, oh shit, this feels fantastic. Like, oh, so good. I mean, I love this.
Yeah,
10 minutes later, you're gonna forget that feeling.
you just want another one. Yeah, and I think it's
Yeah,
almost the
or
more you
that.
sacrifice, the more you gain after. The more you give, the
Well,
more you receive.
it's the more
Of course.
it's the more you sacrifice of the in the grand scheme of things, the unimportant things to your life, but that feel good.
Yeah.
The unimportant things that feel good, the more you sacrifice of those, the more gratitude and the more like feeling of accomplishment you will have,
Yeah.
because you also kind of bested your own mind as to not just
Exactly.
take
Yeah,
the
it's
fucking
like
chocolate bar.
you're training that part of you, and because it is like a muscle. The more you
Yeah,
do that, the more you get better at it, and
yeah, the easier it gets. The easier
yeah.
it gets.
But the thing is, no one ever. A lot. It's rare that you get to the stage where it gets much easier because a lot of people just give in quite early on,
Yeah, it takes
and you never
time. It takes
actually
a long fucking time.
change your kind of identity. Because yeah, you have to change your habits, change your whole lifestyle basically, until you as a
I
person
think
change, and then that's when your muscles kind of that delayed gratification muscle gets bigger, and you get better at discipline basically. And I think controlling. I think being conscious and aware of what you want, and not letting it just be driven by inner
yeah,
beliefs. That
yeah,
is
100%.
that's discipline. That's so much discipline. And I think that's where
So much fucking
it
discipline.
feels like you're losing out. However, you're gaining so much more because mentally you're free from the confines of past beliefs, things that aren't even ours. Because what basically the conclusion we've come to is a lot of the things we want aren't really ours to an extent. Like it is, I'd say, majority controlled by external sources. And then, but when you're aware of this, that's when you start to kind of balance the scale, tilt the scales a bit, and take control of what you want. And then that's when you, yeah, that when you start owning what you want, and really kind of, yeah, making the wants yours and being fully authentic to them, and actually
And I
embodying
think
the desires and not going against them and contradicting them. That's when you kind of
that
grow.
that way of thinking and that feeling has become ultimately extremely more difficult because of the internet.
Oh yeah, there's so just the
It
amount
is
of stuff around us now.
it is so difficult to have the self-discipline of sacrificing the small, like, short-term wants when you go online and you go on Instagram and you see all these people, like, for example, with like body, right?
Yeah,
You see all these people have like fucking six packs. They do like workout every single day, and you don't realize how much they have had to sacrifice to get to that point. But
yeah,
you
you
see
just
it and
see
you
the
think,
rewards.
yeah, you just see the reward and you're like, what the fuck? Why can they be there when I can't? And it's like you can, but you
It's
haven't
actually
sacrificed
really
nearly as.
boring and really kind
It's
of
an extremely
anticlimactic
tough
to
way.
get there.
Yeah, it's not a fucking shiny bed and roses. You just eat chocolate every day. There's so much you have to sacrifice, but it's so easy to not think about that when you just see the result, because you often
100%.
don't see all the low points that people have had to get to that point because they don't show you.
That's it.
So I think it's very much more of a problem with social media, especially
Yeah,
to focus on your long-term
I think
wants.
I think the kind of, if anyone's going to take anything from this, it's just to be aware of what you want and why you want it,
Yeah,
and then a lot of the time
maybe
you'll
write it down.
write this shit down, and you realize like, okay, maybe a lot of the things I want comes from false beliefs that have just stemmed, like, that you've been instilled with from society and growing up. For example, wanting a job just to get paid like a certain amount. Do you really want that, or
Yeah, is that really what you want?
is that a want that's being implanted in you from society and upbringing? Like, it's external.
Or
You want focus on the things you want from internally, like when you're sitting still and not thinking, kind of being present only now and forgetting about all these beliefs. What are the things you want in those moments? Like what just comes to you? Like, for example, when I was saying, when I'm writing, what just comes to me when I'm writing? What just flows out of me? I think they're the things that, they are our wants. They're the things we truly want. The things that we feel naturally drawn towards. So I think just being
and then
aware of that.
sometimes, yeah, and then sometimes it's also uh necessary to sacrifice your
Yeah.
wants at the time
Yeah.
to reach like your end goal. Like, let's
Yeah.
say there's a job
100%.
paid, but you get paid a lot,
Mm.
but you want to have a fucking big house in the hills or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You're most likely gonna have to sacrifice your daily kind of
Exactly.
well-being for a while to get to
Yeah.
that point,
And
and
if you
then you
don't want
can
to
switch.
sacrifice it, I mean, if
Then
it doesn't feel
tr-
honestly, if it doesn't feel good, sacrificing the things to get to that point, I don't think you truly want it. I think those kind of wants where it feels so
yeah,
hard to get to that point is because you want it from a point, a position of beliefs, and you want that big house just because you want to say to people you've got a big house. You don't actually
yeah.
want it from a feeling of love and
You don't
gratitude
need
and
it. You don't need
authenticity.
the big house.
It's like then things feel very hard. But I think when you want something from a position of gratitude, like love and authenticity, like if you want something for those reasons, it feels easy to get there. Because you think about like nature, it takes the route of least effort or whatever it's called. Like things grow, they don't trees don't grow like they don't try to grow, do they? They don't grow in a hard way. So
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I get okay,
I
yeah.
think, yeah,
I get
like
what you mean.
look at what you want, and if it feels really, really difficult and that you're not enjoying it, like the process, you
You might want
probably
to try and
don't want that.
reconsider.
Like consciously, you don't actually want that. I think take a step back, and it's gonna probably break down your ego, break down so many beliefs, and you go, actually, yeah, I'm only doing this because someone else has said to do this. I'm
Or I
only
want to
doing this
show off on Instagram that I have a
exactly,
big
and it's
house,
all
which is
external.
not a way to live.
But as soon as you're doing things out of wanting it because you feel drawn to it, like you're not forcing it, you're not the tree trying to grow, you're just growing and doing it. Those desires, I think they're the ones we own, and they're the like
Yeah.
they're our desires. I think that's where you can kind of differentiate between, yeah, like almost how easy it is to get to what you want.
Mm.
And obviously, yeah, like physically it's hard to go to the gym all the time, but mentally, if you're enjoying the gym, if you're kind of if it feels easy to go, obviously not every day because there's ups and downs, but in the grand scheme of things, if you enjoy it, if it's making you feel good, you probably want to kind of be a fitter person, and you're drawn to that. And
You can also learn to enjoy it.
yeah, and that and owning your beliefs, like say if you want something, because yeah, when it comes to say wanting a fitter body, that comes from a belief of, okay, it's actually good, like it's a good thing, I want to be healthier. Whereas if you want a fit body for external reasons, like I wanted to show off, it's
Yeah, if
like,
you want a fit body
do
because you
you
want to
really
take a
want that?
picture on Instagram, the chances are you're gonna get to that point, and then you're gonna very quickly revert to your old self because you didn't
Yeah.
actually properly focus on the fact that you
Or
wanted to be it for like healthy
you just
reasons.
keep comparing yourself and feel worse. Like I know there's
Or
people
that,
who get bigger, they get huge, but
yeah.
they still think, oh, I'm so skinny, because they're just comparing themselves. And yeah, I think the main thing to take away is just don't compare yourself. Do things because you wanted it, not because
Really outweigh the options that you have at the time
mm,
for what you actually want.
yeah, and think about, am I doing this because monkey brain wants to do this, or am I doing this because I consciously feel like I want to do this? Do I want to
Yeah,
just scroll on
I
my
don't.
phone because it's a dopamine hit, or do I want to scroll on my phone because it's
Mm.
giving me like actual gratitude for this moment? Like I'm really connected to the world. Not most of the time, no. Most of the time, it's just a dopamine hit.
There's never a point. There's never a point where you just mindlessly scroll your phone and you're doing it for any other reason than like the dopamine
Exactly.
rush. There's nothing to it than that.
Yeah. I
But then
think.
it's also fine to just have some of those moments every now
Mm,
and then to be able to also just focus on
yeah.
like your bigger wants in life. Yeah, you need a break every now and then.
Exactly. We're still human. No
You
one's.
got a battery and it will run out unless you take care of it. So
Yeah. Take a break before your body takes a break for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
I
played
think
to himself.
you know what? I think we've ended on a good note there. I hope everyone enjoyed listening.
I don't think there's a point to drag it out any further than that.
Yeah, no, I think I'd like to think that people actually, kind of have a stop and think about what we spoke about, and that's the goal
I
of this,
actually,
isn't it?
I don't know why I get surprised every time, but I got just as surprised today that I actually learned quite a lot about my
Yeah,
own
it's
way of
interesting
thinking
to
as well.
the thing. Because I mean, I
Would you take
I
like a
did
deep
kind of
dive on
think
it?
about this topic myself when I was walking the dog. This is why I had the idea of talking about it. And
Yeah.
I think it is very. When I thought about it, then I was like, damn, like why do I want these things? And that's what I was talking about just now, like how a lot of the things we want, yeah, they're not really yours. They're just instilled into you by everything. And I'm really trying myself to want things because I feel like I want it, and the easy kind of
Yeah, I mean,
the
obviously,
easy route in terms
I don't
of
think it's ever worth it to sacrifice too much to get what you think you want, because you
exactly.
also want to live your life and enjoy your life.
And
So
you realize when the things you want that are instilled by other things, when you get it, it doesn't feel good at all. It just feels
yeah,
you just want the next thing, and
yeah. If you have to sacrifice so much that the end goal ends up feeling shit because you sacrifice so many other things in your life,
the end goal
I
isn't
think
worth
you've.
it. Yeah,
I think your end goal has become too
yeah,
complicated, too big, like too difficult to
yeah.
achieve.
So look at I think
Probably.
for anyone listening, like if there are moments where you've got something, say if you've completed I don't know, you've completed a uni assignment that you've been losing sleep over and really pushing yourself to work hard on. If you've completed that and then you've kind of finished and you've gone, damn, was that it? What do I do now? You're not. There's no kind of feelings of gratitude and actual pride. It's probably it wasn't what you wanted. And I think if that's happening a lot to
Or
you,
you didn't
you look at your
you didn't
wants.
focus on it. Yeah, or you didn't focus on what the point is of you doing
Exactly.
that uni
Yeah,
assignment.
you didn't focus on the journey. I think that's the main thing. Focus
Hmm.
on getting there because
Don't focus
it's
on
never
just the
about
end
the end
results every
result.
single time for
It's never
like
about that
the tiny
because the
moments,
end result is also just part of the journey as well. It's all just part of
which can change.
your journey. Exactly. It's always changing. Always changing.
Oh,
It's never set.
yeah.
But yeah, is there anyone in chat with questions? I don't
Well,
know if
we'll give you
anyone's
like
just kind of chilling and
we'll give anyone 30 seconds to
yeah.
come with a question if there's no questions. Otherwise, we're gonna end it here. I think that was a thorough deep dive
That was a
into the
good
topic
deep
again
dive.
today. I think it's fine
That
to
was good. What should we
fine to
talk
end it
about
at that
next week
point.
actually? While we're waiting for it, if
Oh
there's any
yeah,
questions,
decide that.
should we? I don't know.
Basically, that whole conversation without saying the words nature
I think we
versus
did at the
nurture.
start. I feel like I said that.
It would
When we said we didn't say them both at the same time. I
probably
feel like I said one.
actually we didn't say it in that order technically. Yeah,
Yeah. Um.
I try not to use too many like buzzwords or like big words that
Yeah.
most likely have been used in conversation before because that's just boring.
Has anyone got any
I didn't mean it's a bad thing. No, we know.
ideas for next week? Also, if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube even or Spotify, I don't know if you can you comment on Spotify. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, if anyone does ever have any ideas, leave a comment.
Leave a
if there's
comment on
any
the
questions.
YouTube in the comments or come
Yeah.
to the Twitch or something like that. But I
And
mean,
then-
hopefully,
and we'll
hopefully we get more listeners.
get around to it. Yeah,
Fun.
but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there'll be any questions.
Oh, topic. What should we talk about next time? What have we
Okay.
not touched on?
Um.
There's probably a lot of things we haven't touched on
Yeah,
yet
there's
that
a
we're just
lot. Should we go
not
less?
really aware
Should
of.
should we have something more fun next week?
A little bit more light-hearted, maybe.
Yeah. Why do we dream?
Oh, we did
I
have
think
that
we
as
mentioned
an
that, didn't
option
we?
at some point. Yeah.
I think I'd like
Why do
to.
we dream?
I think I'd like to just learn a bit more about why we dream, like at night. Because
Yeah, let's do that
be
next week.
interesting. Yeah.
Dreams.
Why do we dream? Yeah.
We could, depending on how long it goes, we could also bring in nightmares, I guess, in that. Like nightmares
Yeah, I guess
dreams.
we'll probably end up talking about them. Yeah. I think that we'll
Nightmares
learn
versus
some
dreams.
good stuff from that. Yeah. No, thanks everyone for listening. See you next week
See you next week.
for episode 8.
Or later.
That's like 2 months.
Episode
That's
8, was it?
crazy. Next week, yeah.
No. Oh shit, yeah. Next
Yeah.
week. Bye.
Bye.